the summer months, parents often let the kids stay up later, get out of the normal routine. I'm sure you know a lot about that.
Absolutely, but now summer is over for kids who are in school, and proper sleeping habits are essential to keeping your children healthy. Here with everything a parent needs to know from Yale New Haven Children's Hospital pediatric sleep specialist, Dr. Sumit Bhargava. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is a real tricky time for parents who have let those children, you know, come and go on their own time in the summertime, and now here it is. Time to get up, time to get ready, time to get to the school bus. How does a parent deal with this change and convincing their child that it is important to get a good night's sleep?
So that's actually two questions, and you already answered it. And I think the most important thing to do is to actually wake up at the same time in the morning every day, because that really sets the rhythm for the same day. And even if you went to bed late the previous night, if you wake up early the next day, you're sleepier, and so you're ready to go to bed at an earlier time. So I think that's probably the easiest way for parents to get back into the school schedule, because school time is not negotiable.
That's
right,
true.
no, that's very true. And just listening to you talk, I know we're mainly focusing on children, but sleep can be a big challenge for adults as well. I know in terms of my schedule, you know, I get up at 2:30 in the morning during the week, try to go back to a normal schedule on the weekends. And you said about 10% of the U.S. population goes through this, you call it shift work disorder?
That's right, and it's very common not amongst even people who do the kind of jobs that you do, but also amongst people who do the kind of jobs that I do, because we have to work all night because we are working in the hospital, and then we have to sleep during the day and come back to work again. And so shift work disorder is very common in the United States.
What kind of effects, though, does that have on your body?
It actually has an odd effect upon the body, because you're doing something that it goes against what your body wants to do, which is that it wants to sleep at night and it wants to work during the day. And you're actually forcing it to work at night, and you're trying to sleep during the day. And it takes a lot of practice to do that properly, and no one can actually do it for an indefinite length of time.
Your body has its own clock, and you're trying to go against that. When it comes to teenagers, we joke about it all the time, but it's true. Teenagers tend to really sleep later, particularly as they maybe enter puberty and a little bit later on. Is there anything that a parent can do, or should they let the child just kind of get the sleep that they feel like they need?
Well, I do think that children should get the sleep that they need, because in our country, adolescents actually don't get the sleep that they need. Only about 20% actually sleep the required number of hours to feel well and be functional.
They go to bed too late, get up too early for school.
Right. And part of that is because of the biological clock that you mentioned, because when you enter puberty, you actually get programmed in a way to go to bed late and wake up late. And you can't do that, because high school start times for the majority of high schools in our nation are very early in the morning. So you have to wake up at 7:30 whether you like it or not.
Right.
And there are many children who feel the effects of that in school, because they're sleepy, they're tired, they fall asleep in class, they take naps when they come home. That makes them go to bed even later at night. And so they start a vicious cycle that they cannot break.
And they're often running with after-school activities and then coming home and having to do homework, and there just is so much to do in the course of a day.
That's right. There is just not enough hours in the day for the typical adolescent.
So are sleep disorders, typical anyone, are sleep disorders common in children? Because you usually connect that with adults when you have more stress, more on your mind, and so it's hard to sleep at night.
Well, I think children are pretty stressed out too. So I think it's fair to say that sleep disorders are very common in children. I think about 25% of children of all ages have a sleep disorder. Up to 40% of adolescents have the kind of problem that Chris just brought up, which is that they go to bed late, they wake up early, and they are not very functional. And then toddlers have their own sleep problems, with wanting to go to bed later and later, but still having to wake up at a certain time.
What kind of things should parents be looking for? And let's start with toddlers, because as the parent of small children under 5, I've seen some times when maybe my daughter's talking to herself in her sleep, and I can think of one time where she actually got out of bed. When should a parent be worried? When is it just kind of something that's relatively normal?
Many of the behaviors that you're mentioning are actually relatively normal. As children go to sleep, they actually wake up during the night, and the trick is actually for them to fall back asleep. And I think parents need to learn that, just like they teach their children how to bathe and clean and brush their teeth, they need to teach them how to sleep. And so I think that children need to learn how to sleep, their parents need to teach them. And the best way that they can do that is by emphasizing the importance of going to bed, staying there, and following a regular sleep schedule.
Otherwise, what kinds of problems can this cause, especially for a child at a younger age?
Well, the problems that actually it could cause is that the child wakes up and wants the mother or the father, and the mother or the father wants to be there for the child. So at 2 a.m. in the morning, you have the mother who is rocking her child to sleep. And that's great, and it makes everyone feel good. But then the child is going to want that at 2 a.m. in the morning every night.
I'm dependent on it, yeah.
And so they become dependent upon a particular behavior to go to sleep. And they actually need to learn to go to sleep by themselves and become what are called self-soothers.
Can be a very difficult thing for a parent to go through, particularly early on.
You're absolutely right. And so I think from my perspective, the best way that has worked is what works the best for the family. And different people with different family lifestyles adjust to it in different ways. But I think the most important thing for parents to know is that they are not being mean or cruel to their child by letting their child cry and go to sleep.
They will eventually soothe themselves.
They will eventually soothe themselves. It's a very important skill to learn. The earlier they learn in life, the better off that they will be.
That is probably the most important thing, though, for a parent to get into their head, because that's got to be the toughest thing, is disconnecting yourself.
The parental guilt is
Right,
probably
exactly.
the thing that drives a parent the most, is feeling
right.
like they can't be downstairs listening to that child scream in the crib.
Yes, it takes a lot of self-discipline, and I think that's why parents need to work as a team. And they need to support each other through this, because neither one can actually do it alone. And it's not, in the end, the child's sleep problems are actually the parents' sleep problems, because the parents are awake all night dealing with the child's sleep
It could
problems.
be the whole family sleep
It could be
problem.
the whole
The child's
family
not sleeping.
And that
That's
can lead
right.
to other problems. So.
Indeed.
Unfortunately. Listen, if you want more information on kids and sleep, you can contact the Yale Pediatric Sleep Center. Just come to our website, go to WTNH.com, click on the Connecticut style link. Dr. Bhargava, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very